Welcome to the Peaceful Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Rosensweet, mom of 3 young people, peaceful parenting coach, and your cheerleader and guide on all things parenting. Each week, we'll cover the tools, strategies, and support you need to end the yelling and power struggles and encourage your kids to listen and cooperate so that you can enjoy your family time. I'm happy to say we have a great relationship with our 3 kids. The teen years have been easy and joyful, not because we're special unicorns, but because my kids were raised with peaceful parenting. I've also helped so many parents just like you stop struggling and enjoy their kids again. I'm excited to be here with you today and bring you the insight and information you need to make your parenting journey a little more peaceful. Let's dive into this week's conversation. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Peaceful Parenting Podcast. Today's episode is a special one. I've never done this before. It is a sneak peek inside the office hours of our Peaceful Parenting membership. About 6 years ago, I started the Peaceful Parenting membership. It is a wonderful virtual community, and in it, we have office hours twice a week, scheduled times where you can drop in and say hello, ask me or Corey a question, get some support around a challenge you've been having, and also get support from other members and get to know other members. It is such a wonderful space. It's my favorite part of the work that I do, is getting to connect with all of y'all on a regular basis. And some days, if I'm ever feeling down, I get on an office hours and I leave feeling connected and rejuvenated. And I think the members would say the same thing. It's drop in, it's twice a week for an hour, different times throughout the week to accommodate different time zones. And this podcast, you'll get a sense of what that looks like, and people sharing their wins, getting support from other members, getting support from me, and just bringing us whatever parenting challenges you're experiencing. It's a safe, really safe space, really non-judgmental space. And I just love it. And I wanted to share it because I think that you might not know what a great spot it is, and you might not know that the Peaceful Parenting membership is even available to join. If you would like to join us, I'm going to say this link again at the end of the episode, but if you would like to join us or you want to learn more information about the membership, you can go to reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/membership for all the details. Not only do we do the office hours inside the membership twice a week, every month inside the membership, we also have a theme, a monthly theme. And usually, not always, but usually we have a guest expert on that theme. And we do a session on the theme of the membership for the month. And the guest expert does some teaching. I do some teaching. We do a Q&A about the theme. And this month's theme was friendship troubles, and I'm actually going to be sharing that guest expert coming up as a podcast, so you'll get a taste of that as well. And we also have a library of peaceful parenting lessons on demand inside the membership. And inside the membership portal, we also have all of the content for the last 6 years, all of the guest expert interviews, and the monthly theme lessons and teaching and resources, and all of the office hours. If you like to listen to these, there's plenty more inside that to listen to. And I just hope you'll join us. It really is a special place, and I'm happy to be able to share a little taste of it with you today. All of the members gave me permission to share their questions and their voices, and I am grateful for that. So thank you to the members who agreed to let me share this as a podcast. Again, visit reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/membership to learn more or to join us. I also want to give us a shout out to our sponsor, Yoto Player. Yoto is a screen-free audio player where kids can listen to pre-recorded materials from Yoto, books, podcasts, radio, or you can make your own Yoto cards of MP3s that you have. It's wonderful to have a way for kids to listen to audio content without being connected to the internet and without screens. I can't say enough good things about the Yoto Player. I learned about this from Corey, who absolutely says it's one of the best parenting tools that she has. So check out reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/Yoto, YOTO, to learn more. Okay, let's dive into the office hours. How are you?
Okay. I'm fine. You?
I'm good. Yeah, just had a nice morning with my daughter. We went for a walk and got a coffee. It felt like not a work day. And then I was like, I better get to work now. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, you can
I
just go. I'll see if anyone else joins us, but we might as well start.
Okay. Our son is 8 years old and our daughter is 9. And we have summer vacation now since a bit more than a month.
Okay.
So the issues that sometimes come up more often now, that they have between them, that we have together, because they just spend a lot more time together, and they're a bit bored sometimes. And what I'm not sure how, and it ends up sometimes that, for example, they're like agreeing on playing a game that, for example, she wants to do, and he wants, that like to make an agreement, like we will play this and then we will do that later, which is fine. But he will sometimes like be very pushy, like, I really want to play basketball, for example. And I know she really hates basketball. And at first she will say, no, I want to do something else then. But then he doesn't want to give in with anything else. So she will agree just because she really wants to play the other game. And then she will promise it and then she won't do it later. Or she will try the beginning and then she will stop. Or she says, no, I don't feel like it. And then he gets super upset and very angry. And it's very extreme, and it has happened a lot of times already. And I've been talking to her and say, like, you shouldn't promise something that you can't live up to. Like, try to say no and try to think of things that you can do, because if you promise something, it's really supposed that you do it, And of course, something can come up sometimes, but but she doesn't really seem to learn that. And he's also really pushy. So I've also been talking to him, like, look, don't try to make people promise things that they can't live up to too, because then you get disappointed afterwards. But it keeps happening again and again. Do you have any ideas, what else could I try? Or
Well, it sounds like you're doing all the things that I would suggest already in terms of coaching them. And you might talk to them about how it erodes their sense of being a trustworthy person, that people aren't going to believe you, or at least for your daughter, in other things, even if she does mean it and she is planning on it, people might not believe her. So it might slowly start to hurt her in the future. So you could talk about that if you haven't already. And, and in terms of your son, I would talk to them together about maybe there are other things that you could play that you both want to do. I mean, maybe that's part of the problem, is that they need some help coming up with some things that they both like to do, so it doesn't feel so one-sided for each of them.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I would say is maybe you could say, like, we're just not going to do the promising later thing. Like, it's not working and it's causing a lot of fighting. What do you think?
Yeah. For example, they could agree on we play this and immediately after something else, but not
Right. Not
like
for the future.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I will try.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. It comes up all the year, but now it happens super often because they play all the time
they're
together.
all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think I often say this to parents, like, it's okay to suggest times for kids to play a part during the day, like having independent playtime, because sometimes they're just too much time together makes all this worse. And so maybe you have times during the day where everybody is playing independently and you just set that up.
Yeah. They listen a lot to listening stories as well.
Yeah.
It's also helpful because then they're like, or laying down and listening, or they're playing separately.
Well, I think you're on the right track for sure. Just maybe having more time when they're not together, maybe stepping in and setting a limit around making promises for later, that hasn't worked in the past. And so that you think that they should take a break on the making promises for later thing.
Okay. Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll try that.
All right.
Okay. And also this situation that we had, you remember on the beach, it's already a while ago.
I'm just going to break in here to say what the situation was that our member was updating us on, which is that when she was at the beach with her son, he always wanted to play a game with her, sort of like a ping pong type game, I think. And he would get really frustrated and angry at her because she wasn't very good at the game, even though she was trying her hardest. And she said it always ended up in a meltdown and him yelling at her and getting really upset. And she wondered what she could do. And I suggested that, before they start playing, saying to him something like, I know you wish that I were better at this game. And I know you wish that you had somebody else to play with who could play it the way you wanted to. And I still really enjoy playing it with you. And I want to play with you. And if you end up yelling at me that I'm not playing well enough, it makes me not want to play the game with you. So I'm going to suggest that we stop if you start to yell at me and get angry at me that I'm not playing the game well enough. And I also suggested to her that he might have a full backpack, and that's why he melts down over the frustration of her not being good at the game. And that before they play the game, they could start with some roughhousing and some laughter to help him feel a little bit more relaxed going into the game and not get so easily frustrated. So she's about to update us on what happened when she tried those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked really good. So I really told him, like, if you get angry, you'll stop to play.
Yeah.
But also I've been like doing more like roughhousing. and these kind of things. Because
Good.
we thought maybe it's a backpack and this. And so I think that was also the case.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's been healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know it was sad for you that because you wanted to play with him and have a nice time.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. We've had in order Jessica, Angelica, and then Doug join us. So, Jessica, do you have a question?
It's nothing really pressing, so I can go to the back of the line. I'll just listen in for now.
Okay. Hi.
Hey.
And then Angelica, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we'll go Angelica and then Jessica. Okay. Angelica, hi. If you want to introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hey, I'm Angelica. I'm from Germany. I'm a single mom by choice of two boys, ages 3 and 1. I have a question, but I can also just give you a short follow-up
Great.
on.
Yeah. How did the meeting go?
Yes, it went very well.
Good.
Yes, it went very well. Like I could see that I had a problem in kindergarten where they had unreasonable expectations for my little son. And last week, situation escalated. It went 1 hour where they really forced him that he had to tidy up, and it didn't go down well. And she was quite defensive, this educator. And I could see that she was really under pressure. Like I could hear her voice break. I could see she was close to tears. And so at some point, I just decided, okay, I will back off. I think I made my point. I brought the printout of the
Good.
postmark to a Chanker. And also like the boss of the kindergarten, she admitted, yeah, we missed the point to end the situation where he had already helped and then just leave. And they suggested a very good solution. I think now I should call 30 minutes before I come to pick him up, that if he has to tidy up something, they can do it, but without stress.
Yes.
And also that he won't start anything new that is big with many parts. I think that's a very good solution.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
glad. Sounds like it
Yes.
went better. Sounds like it went better than you expected it could.
Way better than I expected.
Good.
Way better. Yeah. Okay. And now my
And
question.
I'm also glad that they had a Stuart Shanker resource in German. That's really good.
Yes, very good. And the transition is very well. Like it's not shaky or weird at all.
Good.
Yeah. And so my question, I've been trying to ask you this for like weeks, and
Okay.
now my mom is here, so I have the resources to come that often to the meetings. I won't be able to do it in the next weeks. So my question is, I listen to a lot of your podcasts, and I'm wondering, like, there was this girl who was afraid to go alone to the toilet. Yeah. And there was this situation where the mom had to sign something for school. I think that she was allowed to go somewhere or something.
Yeah.
The daughter had brought this paper home.
And she had already signed it at school.
Signed it,
But
and-
yeah.
exactly. And then the daughter wanted her to sign it again. And she didn't, because she thought, no, I'm just enabling the fear.
Mhm.
And you said, yes, good thing you didn't sign it. I was like, no, Sarah said she shouldn't do it. I was very amazed by this. Because there are other situations. You also had, I think, in the episode where you talked to Corey about that you want to let go of the term setting limits. And there was with the nail clipper, this little boy that you saw on Instagram who wanted to have the nail clippers, and the mom was so proud that she had set a limit. And you said, but why?
Yeah.
You can explore the nail clippers. It's safe. Why not?
Yeah.
And so I wonder, like, where's the difference? I think the nail clippers versus the signing the paper. I think that talk a lot about this because I'm very much with my older son. I'm very much on the side of not giving in.
Yeah.
Because I also feel for him it's enabling his phobias, fears, obsessions, whatever.
I mean, that's the difference. That's the difference, is whether it's anxiety or whether it's an unreasonable, inflexible adult limit. You can play with the nail clippers because I don't want you to, because it's more convenient for me. So the girl it was clearly an anxiety, like her brain was stuck on, no, you have to sign this because the teacher told me that you have to sign it. And her worry brain had taken over, amygdala had taken over, and she wasn't hearing that her mom was saying, like, no, I already signed it at school. So and of course, this is all like art, not science, and that, maybe sometime she would, depending on what's going on in the house, or that she didn't have the the wherewithal for a meltdown, she might have signed the paper. Like, I'm
Yes.
not saying like, that's the end, that's the end of the line. If you sign that paper, all is lost. So Lynn Lyons calls the worry brain the cult leader, right? And the
Yes.
more you give in to the cult leader, the stronger it gets, the more powerful it gets. So doing things like, for example, my sister has an 8-year-old daughter. She found like a snail on her sleeping bag or something when they were camping. And even though they washed the sleeping bag, her daughter is insisting that she will not use that sleeping bag to get a new sleeping bag. And I'm like, well, if you want, you can get her a new sleeping bag, but it's not a question about whether the sleeping bag is actually dirty or not. It's her anxiety, and you're giving into the anxiety if you get a new sleeping bag. But like, I'm not going to judge you if you feel like life is easy, you just get a new sleeping bag instead of continuing to fight about the sleeping bag. However, that doesn't help her anxiety. Like, getting a new sleeping bag isn't going to make the anxiety go away. It's actually going to make it stronger, because the sense of relief that you get when you get a new sleeping bag is so great that part of your brain is going, see, it was an emergency. And now we feel so much better because don't have to use that sleeping bag that had a snail on it. Right. So in terms of the nail clipper thing was not at all. I mean, I guess it could have been a parent's anxiety of why they weren't using it. But I just got from that the parent was being controlling, right? That they thought their idea was better than the 2-year-old's idea. And with the permission slip, it was that the daughter was anxious about getting in trouble at school for not bringing the paper, even though her mom had already signed it. So the mom not signing it was a message to the daughter, you can handle this even if you're worried about it. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. But these situations for me are very easy to differentiate.
Yeah.
But with my son, for example, this morning I made pancakes and he wanted like, what do you call this? Like 1/4 of the, like to have like a pizza slice and then to have another one on top. And the one that I gave him to put on top, it had a very thin, like it was broken. It was very, like, it was fine. It was just broken. He had a fit, like, because that one was a bit broken. It was not perfect. And I was resistant to give him another one because I feel like they're perfectly fine. Sometimes things are not perfect. Then my mom was there and she said, I take it. I thought, okay, I will just be flexible and accept that. I told him, you know, my position on this. If it's fine, usually you should eat it. But for this, I make an exception. Because I feel if I give in to all of this, then the next thing is, oh no, this spoon is not right. I want to sit on the other side of the table. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I think there's a difference too between how old your child is.
Yes.
Being almost 4, there's so little that, so he has very strong ideas about what he likes, what he wants, and he has very low agency for what can make happen in his life. So, and there are already a lot of things that, so with small children, with all children, but like older children don't tend to be as particular unless it's anxiety. I guess that's like a 4-year-old would be very particular about which pancake to go on top, only because they're 4 and they have strange ideas about things. But like a 10-year-old freaking out about the edge of the pancake is going to be more of an anxiety thing. So I think like little kids, like 10-year-olds have a lot more agency and control over how things are. 4-year-olds don't. And so I tend to like bend over backwards a little bit more for a 4-year-old in terms of what they want and their preferences. I want to sit in this spot, or I want the blue cup instead of the red cup, because there's already in life so many things that can't change, that, we can't change that they have to wear a seatbelt, or do you know, like there are enough things in life for a 4-year-old that we are going to have to say no about just because they're 4 and it's safety or, things that are impossible. And so I feel like being flexible about it, and I don't want to waste food. So I think that might be part of it. Say, you were willing to eat the pancake that he didn't like, or your mom was, or the baby brother, and you could give him a different one. Great. But if those were the only 2 pancakes and it would mean throwing that one out and nobody else wanted it, then I might set a limit about that. I might be, you know what? There aren't any other pancakes. Nobody else is eating pancakes. If you want another pancake, this is the pancake, with a lot of them. But if everyone else is eating pancakes and you could give them a different one that is more to liking, go for it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of like a 4-year-old versus a 10-year-old. And is it anxiety or is it that I'm 4 and there's very little I can control and I have very particular ideas about what I want and I don't have much control over my life versus a 10-year-old who is much going to be more like, anxiety driven things like the snail on the sleeping bag.
I get your point, but with him it can get out of hand. Like at some point it was like he wanted to control how I sit. Like I was not allowed to cross my leg.
And then
Or
I would say, if I were you, I'd say, I don't like other people trying to control my body. I want to
Mhm.
control my own
Yes,
body. Like
that's
you
what I
want to
told him.
control, yeah, just like you want to control your own body. So I think it's really a case by case.
Yes.
Like, how is it affecting other people? Like, that's
Yes.
always what we think about when we set a limit, like health or safety, or how does it affect community or property? Like those are all things to take into consideration. And you don't need to say no to everything to say no to some things to help him learn that you're not going to do every single thing.
I had the thought maybe also to give him more agency. Why did I choose the pancake? Why did I not hand him over like the plate
Yeah.
so that he could choose his own?
Yeah.
Then I would avoid this. Then I would not have the conflict. Yeah, that
I love
would
that.
be.
And I
Yeah.
guess if you have a child who is really wanting to control a lot of things, maybe it does mean that he needs more agency in general, more choices, and more like where can you give him decision making,
Okay.
So Alfie Kohn has a great quote, and it says that children should have the power to make decisions that make us gulp a little bit. Like shouldn't just give them choices about things that don't matter. And of course, like we're not handing over health and safety decisions to them, but like, where can you actually give him real choices about things?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's also, I mean, it's such an art, right? But that's where I think we really think about collaboration,
No, I think you point of there were other pancakes. It was not that was the last piece of pancake.
Yeah.
And the other option would have been to make a new dough,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
make totally new pancakes. That was not the question. There were other pancakes available.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave in the end, I think. So, but yeah, thank you for differentiating this. And I found
also make another point too, is if we're always holding the limit around things that don't matter like that, like, because we want them to learn to accept limits, we are powerfully demonstrating being inflexible.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
For me, I guess it's not about holding the limit. It's more that I feel like when he's stressed, he feels uncomfortable, and his fix for the uncomfortable feeling is trying to control stuff.
So
And
maybe
I
you
don't-
would address the uncomfortable. Maybe you would like get him laughing, get him laughing, give him some snuggles, see if you can help him with the stress feelings.
Yes.
In another way.
Yes. Yes. But that's why I'm holding back on giving in to everything, because I feel it's not really fear. It's more having a not so good solution for dealing with uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little bit holding back. It's not that I'm like want to be, but I think giving him agency about choosing which pancake he can take is also in a positive way, a way to deal with his stress.
Yeah. The other thing to think about, there are other parenting experts out there who talk about holding a limit when your child has a full emotional backpack and that they need to cry to release the feelings that they are that are stuck inside them. And they might say something like, hold the limit about the pancake, and then your child cries and empties their emotional backpack. I don't agree with that. Like, I feel like that's artificial and it's arbitrary, and kids understand that it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
And I always think if you know that your child needs a meltdown and you give into something like, okay, you can have a different pancake, there's something else in 5 minutes that you can say yes to. And you can use that, right?
Yeah.
I think being arbitrary with kids is really poisonous to the relationship, because they know when we're being arbitrary.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, does anyone have any comments? I mean, that was actually a lovely, juicy conversation that we just had, Angelica. So thank you for bringing that up. I love like teasing these things out, right? Because it is more of an art than a science. At this point, another member jumped in, but she didn't want to be in the podcast. I'm just going to paraphrase what she said so that we can have the full conversation. She said she was glad to hear me say that because she worried that she was too flexible with her child. And she felt like it was necessary to be flexible because her child was very strong-willed and very complex and already had a hard enough life, and she didn't want to add to making their life harder. So she was often very flexible about things, such as the pancake. She said she might eat it herself or something like that if the pancake wasn't right. I love that. And your child is extremely strong-willed, and so there are going to be a lot of things that you can't be flexible about.
Yeah.
And those are enough practice to adapt and learn to handle disappointment, empty the backpack. We don't really have to create moments for that. If we had to err on the side of so the research about authoritarian versus permissive parenting isn't nearly, and I know those are the extremes of what we're talking about here, but permissive parenting is not as damaging as authoritarian parenting. And I feel like more, if you had to say you couldn't walk that perfect line down the middle of being too flexible or too inflexible, I think being too flexible is a lot less damaging than being too inflexible. The member then added that she had a mother who was very permissive and very loving, and she really appreciated how her mother was loving. And she also felt, though, that her mother was too permissive. And through this conversation, what she was realizing was that it was that her mother was depressed and that she, the member, felt like her mother didn't give her enough guidance. So it wasn't that her mother was too flexible that didn't feel good to this member when she was growing up. That bit, the flexibility and lovingness felt wonderful, but she felt that her mother was, because she was depressed, she was too hands off, and that made the member feel a bit alone when she was growing up. So that was part of why she was a little bit worried that being flexible wasn't good. Yeah, I do understand what you mean. Yeah. So it was maybe that you felt she wasn't as involved in the thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah, because I think that really resonates too in terms of like some parents are permissive because they're overwhelmed and they can't deal. And I think a kid that would feel scary to a kid. Like it would almost feel like they don't care or they can't take care of me. And here the member agreed that it did feel like her mother couldn't take care of her. Yeah. And I think if you're permissive because you've thought about like, I just want to be like really flexible with my kid, it's going to be a different thing than being permissive because you're too overwhelmed or depressed or whatever to be able to pay attention to what you're saying, what you're being permissive about. And then our member noted that it all comes down to be aware and conscious of the big why about the decisions that you're making as a parent. But great conversation. Anyone else want to add to that conversation? I see Angelina, welcome. Jessica has a question and then we'll get to you, Angelina, if you do have a question. Jessica, can you talk now?
Yeah, Angelina can go ahead. And I'm eating lunch right now. And
Okay.
I was going to ask if there's time, but she can go.
You have a question, Angelina?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to hear you, I guess.
So my daughter is 5.5 and my son is 3.5. And I've been trying to work on your sharing module kind of thing with them. So like they don't have to share things that are really special for them. If it like is kind of like belonging to the house, then they,
Right. Yeah.
they can take turns when they're done, when they're finished.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I'm having trouble when one of them has the other one's like toy, and they won't give it back. And, of course, like, let's say my daughter took my son's truck and say, say, can I have that back, please? And so he asks her and she's like, no. So then I'm like, do I take it from her?
Right. So I would say to her, oh, sorry, I forget your son's name.
Ezekiel or Zeke.
That's Zeke's truck. He's asked for it back. Would you like to give it back to him, or do you want to give it back to me and I'll give it to him? Because then you're giving her a choice at least. And sometimes it's easier to give it back to you than it is to give it back to him. And you could even say, do you want to put it down on the table, or do you want to give it to me, or do you want to give it back to him?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Because then she's not like the direct give it back to him is like setting up a little mini power struggle of him winning.
Okay.
And then if she says, I don't want to do any of those things, I would say, I get it. You're really wanting to play with his truck. At the same time, remember in our family, and maybe you've already done this, remember in our family, we always get to be in charge of our own things. And if Zeke has one of your things, I always support you. And if you don't want him to play with it, remember? And just try to appeal to her sense of like empathy and justice if you can. If that doesn't work, I would say, well, this is a real problem. Zeke wants his truck back. And in our family, we have that rule we just talked about. What do you think we could do to solve this problem? So basically, I'm like trying to think of a whole bunch of things before taking it back from her. But in the end, if she's not giving it back, I would say, you know what, sweetie, I've got to take it from you. And even though, I don't know, obviously that's like the last resort. But I think letting her keep it is going to send the wrong message.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I haven't tried giving her a choice of giving it to him or to me or
or putting it down on the table. Or you could even get creative and you could say like, oh, this is actually nothing I've ever thought of before, but maybe this would work. You know the game like cold and hot game? Where if you hide something and then someone's trying to find it and you say if they're getting hot or cold, if they're getting close to it.
Yeah.
And if they're getting far from it, it's cold. So you could say, oh, I have an idea. Let's play a game. You hide that somewhere in this room where we are, and then we'll play hot and cold till we can find it.
Okay. Oh, that's a good idea. She would love that.
And that kind of it's a really easy way to get out of the power struggle, and kind of it would be fun too, right?
Yeah.
But basically, and then also the problem solving and see what she says. And I guess it's possible that she could say something that Zeke would agree to. Like maybe she would say like, I'll let him use my blah, blah, blah. I mean, I imagine it's not really about the toy, but you never know what she could come up with.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And also I was going to say somebody else came on the line once, like last month, came on the call, and they were saying that the long turns were causing a lot of havoc in their house, and they had little ones also. And I said, if long turns are causing like a lot of havoc, it's not going to kill everything if you set a 10-minute timer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if it's working, great, but maybe it's something to work towards, or maybe it's, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I did timed turns with my kids and they're best friends now. So it's obviously not going to like ruin everything.
Yeah. And then also about like when they're saying such mean things to each other, and I bring up like our family rule is, we're kind to each other. And I also say like our words can either hurt people or help people. And in our family, we want to help people with our words, but that doesn't, that's not.
Well, I mean, I would try and model something else. Like, so I would say, I hear you're really upset with your brother or your sister, whoever it is, and you can tell him how you feel without attacking. You can tell him how you feel without using unkind words. You could say, and then I would say, whatever it is that like model it.
Okay. I can do
So
that.
I would just, say something, and I would lead with empathy. Like, oh my goodness, you must be so upset to be saying that. I would say, oh my goodness, you must be so upset to be saying that. I hear how upset you are. At the same time, you can tell your brother how you feel, or you can tell me how you feel. Maybe not, I don't know. I generally think if we have a 5-year-old, we take their mean language, but this might be something you work on with the siblings. But you can tell him how you feel without using unkind words. What do you think you could say? Or you could say this.
Okay. Okay. I can do that.
been definitely the leading with empathy part. Like, you must be so upset to be saying that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Hello, Jessica. I hear you have a witness.
Yes. Hi. So my win is I'm Jessica. I have a 4-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. And my win is he was having a hard time yesterday. He had his dad's phone and he threw it on the floor. Then he went into his room and he started dumping all his toys out after we had just cleaned them up. And typically I don't care that his toys are all over, but I had specifically cleaned them up because I had the cleaner coming to the house. So we cleaned up all the toys and then he goes and dumps them. And, I was like, hey, buddy, you got to help us clean these up. And he's just like, no. And I was getting really, really frustrated. And like the thoughts of like, I want to hit him so bad. Like, I know this will stop. And, he's got little plastic bins that we put all his toys in. And I was like, I could just pop him on the butt. He'll cry, but he'll start picking up and he'll do what I want him to do. But I didn't. It was just like a thought that kept going through my head. And I knew that, yeah, I knew that this would be like a safe space to share that because, obviously, it's not, I guess, I don't know. I guess I feel uncomfortable sharing it around like other people. One of my friends, she spanks her kids all the time and it's like no big deal. It's just common, but I don't. And I just let it go. But yeah, I didn't, even though I really wanted to. But I want to say like also like I didn't feel like typically before, like I would feel like this heat rising in my body and I would feel like super triggered, like really tense. Like I didn't feel any of that, but I knew I was triggered because I was very frustrated. So maybe something I'm doing is working that like my whole body isn't taking over.
Right. It was a little
Um,
milder than maybe typical.
yeah, yeah, but definitely like the thoughts of I wanna hit him, I wanna smack him just because, like, I knew that would make it stop. I knew it would make it stop because he's like, "No, I'm not cleaning up. I don't wanna do that." But I also, like, I got to thinking, as I focused on, like, "Okay, focus on the cleaning, like, not him." So, I cleaned everything up. My husband was helping me again, and then I was like, "You know what, buddy? We're gonna go to bed because 'cause you're really tired." And he really only I don't force him to take naps on the weekends. He takes them during the week, at daycare, but I don't force him on the weekends unless, he was when he gets, like, really whiny and cries about, like, every little thing that happened, like, "Oh, you stepped on my toe," or, "Oh, you took this," or just, like, everything, like, every single thing he was crying, and I was like, "I think he's tired." And, it took about 30 minutes of, "Nope, we're gonna lay down. Nope, we're gonna do this," like, screaming, crying, "I don't wanna do this. I'm not tired. I wanna go play. Let me see daddy. I want daddy. I want mommy. I want this." Just, everything under the sun. He finally, relaxed, calmed down, fell asleep for 2 hours and, was fine after. Still,
Yeah. He
you
must have
know
been tired if he slept for 2 hours.
yeah, still like, kicking, hitting all of the normal stuff he does that we're working on. But yeah, he was not like just completely, you know, I guess wild. So
Good.
I was glad that I did not resort to that because I knew that I would have felt like immediate shame after it happened. Like
Yeah.
it's immediate. So I did not. So
Well,
I'm
it's
proud
hard
of myself for that.
whether it's yelling or spanking. I think everybody in times when things are tricky and your kid's being challenging, it's hard
Hmm.
not to resort back to how you were parented, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
just like the cultural norms, because spanking is still like super common in the US.
Yeah.
The last
Hmm.
statistic I saw was like 70% of American parents spank their kids. So,
Yeah.
you see it around you. It's shown as normal and not harmful. And I think you said you were spanked growing up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
was.
it's hard not to revert back to that. So good for you that you didn't.
Yeah.
And also I think there's probably a conscious thing of like, oh, it would be so much easier if I could just yell at him or spank him and get him to do what I want, right? Like the control aspect.
Exactly. Yeah. Like what went through my head was like, I know that I could get him to listen if I did this because it would, I mean, I guess essentially shock him or scare him enough that he
Yeah.
would start crying and he would do exactly what I'm asking
Right.
him to do.
Yeah,
But
because
I
they're
like
so
that's the exact thought that went through my head. Yep.
yeah, because kids are so desperate to stay in their parents' good graces.
Hmm.
And when they get scared, then they'll often do stuff to try to do what you want so that
Hmm.
bad thing doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
that
good for
was,
you.
yeah. Thank you. It
Mhm.
was rough.
Let's take a quick break to hear about the Yoto player. Yoto is a new sponsor of our podcast. I only promote products that I really believe in, and Yoto is a great product. I wish they were around when my kids were growing up. Yoto is a screen-free audio player for kids. It uses physical cards to play stories, music, podcasts, and other audio content, encouraging independent listening and play. You can buy the cards for your favorite books, from the classics like Charlotte's Web or Roald Dahl, or newer books like Captain Underpants. You can also make your own cards of podcast stories or music from MP3 files. Yoto also creates original content like radio and podcasts for kids. The possibilities for listening are varied and endless. Yoto also features a nightlight, an okay to wait clock, and other functions like white noise and an alarm. It's not connected to the internet, so kids can't go where you don't want them to go, and no one is listening in on them. And did I mention it's screen-free? I learned about Yoto from Corey. Here's what she says. The Yoto player is by far my favorite parenting tool that I've ever purchased, and I recommend them to everyone who has kids. They're an amazing screen-free audiobook player that have been an absolute lifesaver for teaching my kids to play independently. Both my kids carried their Yoto players around the house, listening to books while drawing, doing Lego, and even relaxing in their rooms before bed. We also take Yoto players everywhere with us, short or long car trips, sporting events, restaurants, and even doctor's appointments. On a recent vacation, their Yoto players got them through an 8-hour drive and were used every evening in our hotel to help my kids relax after very busy days. Yoto has an impressive and ever-growing collection of books you can buy and have absolutely helped inspire a love of reading in both my kids. Thanks for the first-hand recommendation, Corey. And I also just want to highlight that you don't have to buy their books. You can buy blank cards and record your own content. To learn more, visit reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/Yoto. That's reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/Yoto, YOTO. I hope you check them out, and I'm just so happy to have them on as a sponsor for the podcast. Let's get back to the podcast.
I guess I do have a question about my daughter. So summertime, she's 8, it's summertime, and it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's just so, just, there's no schedule. I mean, there is a schedule, but it's just so like loosey goosey, I guess.
What's your childcare situation?
So Miles is still in daycare, for now. He's got till the end of next month, and then he starts school when she starts 3rd grade. He'll go into pre-K. So he'll be there, and then they go to the after school program. It's basically just a daycare for school age kids, at the school, and we pay for it. But right now there's 2 different options. It's called like a camp, but it's not really a camp. It's basically, again, a camp for big kids at the school. They'll go swimming twice a week. They'll go to the movie, the local movie theater once a week. So they do different things. And that's pretty fun. Then there's another option that is, I guess they call it like a camp, but basically, again, um, it's just a big kid daycare where, they do go different places. So she can go to either one of those places. So it just depends on like we give her the choice. Like, do you want to go to this place or this place this week? So we give her that choice. You got to choose
Right.
per week, and she can change every week. So yeah,
Right.
like,
Okay, so what's
Yeah.
feeling, so what are you
Mm.
saying? What's feeling hard about
So I always told her, like, during the school, it's like no sleepovers, no play dates on school nights. We're just not doing it. It's too busy with school and getting home, dinner, all the stuff. It's just too busy, too much going on. So now that it's summer, every time she leaves she still does dance during the summer. She's like, oh, I want to have a play date. And I'm like, and she's like, well, and I was like, well, she's right. There's not school and everything, but it's 6
You're-
o'clock at night and we still have to
Still have to
work.
because you nothing's changed for you. Like you
Mm-mm.
still have
No.
work every day. So
Yeah.
I think it would be totally reasonable to say, like, during the week we're still not going to do play dates or sleepovers because it's just too late. And
Yeah.
I've got to get up, your dad's got to get up. And like let's
Mhm.
plan something for the weekend. Right? Like,
Yeah.
right after
Mhm.
you say, no, we're not going to have a play date today. Which day do you want to have it on? Saturday or Sunday? Like, let's plan something.
Yeah.
Or
That's a
maybe
good
Friday,
idea.
Friday after daycare,
Mhm.
Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. So we talked about it. She yelled at me. She swore at me. She told me to shut up. And in those moments, I always want to like say something back, but I don't. I just shut up. I'm like, okay. And then, she usually gets over it and comes to talk to me. I think it was that day she was just hungry. And then literally as soon as she ate dinner, she was fine. Um, but yeah, those moments are always really frustrating because I'm like trying to trying to reason with her and tell her like explain to her, we can do it on this day and this day and this day, but just the days that you have dance, you get out at 6 o'clock. Like it's time to, take a bath and
Mhm.
just be with family, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's just so hard trying to explain it to her. But yeah.
Well, it might just been the timing is wrong. It's so funny because after office hours, yeah, Corey and I are taping a podcast, and the topic is when you shouldn't say anything as a parent.
Okay,
Not
I'll wait for
talking
that one.
parents.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about is like when your kids, you can't explain anything when
Mhm.
they're upset, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I actually did that yesterday when my son was like, trying to put him to sleep for his nap because I knew he was tired and he just kept saying, "Mommy this, mommy this, mommy this, mommy this." And I just, at first I was like answering him and then I remembered I was like, I should just not say anything at all. And so like I would just say every time he asked me something, I would just say, "It's time for bed. Your body needs sleep. It's time for bed. Your body needs sleep. It's time for bed." Like I stopped engaging because
Yeah.
I realized that he was just trying to delay the process. So
Yeah.
but a lot of the times I'm like, ugh, it's so hard, especially with my daughter when she swears at me and tells me to shut up. I don't know, I guess it stings a little bit coming from her
Mhm.
because she knows what she's saying, but in that moment she's just really frustrated. So
Well, it's funny because Sophie's on the call. Hi, Sophie, and hi, Callista. And last week, Sophie was saying that her son was having a meltdown, and he had said to her, like, finally, he was like, "I'll come with you if you stop talking," or he might have even said like
Mhm.
in a ruder way. But she
Yeah.
said, "Was that okay that I did it? That I didn't?" But I think it can be hard when it feels like our kid. My point is, it can be hard when it feels like our kid is ordering us around, like,
Yeah.
stop talking, shut up. It feels like,
Mhm.
well, I can't. They're they're being rude, or I can't do
Mhm.
that. They're telling me to, but I think it's
Yeah.
to stop talking, and it's a good thing to stop talking.
Yeah. So should we address that like later on or just kind of let it go because we know that they know better? Like, because I know that she knows and she doesn't do it all the time. It's just when she's really frustrated. So
Yeah.
like, is that something I should address or just kind of be like, hey, I know that how you talked to me earlier wasn't okay. And you
Mhm.
know that, right? And she would probably say something like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, I was having a hard time or,
Yeah.
something like that. Because sometimes she will, I would say probably like 80% of the time, she will come to me and apologize, "Mom, I'm sorry," or she will come and apologize, but there's sometimes that she doesn't. So I know that she knows.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, should I address it or should I kind of let it go because I know that she knows or
Well, if
I
she's
don't know.
apologizing 80% of the time, I'd say you probably don't have to address it.
Yeah. Yeah, she
And
does.
yeah, so I was just gonna
Okay.
ask about that. It could be, sometimes it could be that you are talking too much, and maybe experiment
Yeah.
like trying to stop talking earlier so you don't get the shut up.
Yeah, you're probably right. I probably do because I think I'm trying to like reason, like get her to understand, and like you've said
Yeah.
before, like that's not going to happen in a triggered moment. So
Yeah.
I probably do. So I can't wait for your podcast to come out. I need to
Okay,
listen to
good.
it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Lunchtime.
Yes. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of ask, I'm sure you have thoughts about this. So my daughter Olivia, swear like when else she's not she I don't know, we've had like these morning struggles have been really, really hard, but obviously it's just part of I think this stage of development. She's pushing back on a lot of things and wanting like things to go exactly her way. This weekend, I started trying something. Just curious if you've done this or if you've heard of other people. It so far it's been like a day, but it seems like it's working a little bit. I was trying to be very intentional about like giving her time to kind of like boss me around.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it seemed to kind of like work. Like she got out her bossy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I just wanted to kind of like ask you if that is like a specific strategy that you've used before. Or if you have any like thoughts about how I can sort of talk to her on it. I didn't make it a big deal. I just like went along with the play, but it kind of I don't know, things were like a lot easier
So I
How
was
did that-
wondering if maybe
how did-
like it helped.
How did it look like? Like, what did it look like? How did you go about it?
It just, I mean, it was nice because it was the weekend. I didn't have anything to do. So like, I was thinking about it, and then like, she kind of started to like do this play. And she just was like, no, put your leg here. No, put your arm here. No, we're going to do this way. No, say that, say this. And I was like doing every single thing that she wanted me to do, and like just letting her like step on me and like do whatever. And I usually don't do that. So like, I think it's further surprising that she was like being allowed to like, I don't know, step on me and like be the boss kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds great. I'm just trying to like I feel like it's something that we talk about in terms of like letting your children lead you and play and like doing, I was thinking, I think we actually specifically talked about it in one of the podcasts I did about there's a book, I think it was called The Power of Play, and one of the authors is Tina Payne Bryson and Georgie something, I forget her last name, but Georgie was on the podcast, and that's one of the things they talk about in their book is just like letting your child direct you and play, and how that's really good for them, and I want to say fine, but I also want to say like more than fine, like it's good. And it sounds like in your case it's good, like it let her feel like in charge, and I think that we want to just make sure that it's it's just it sounds like you were doing this, but because you were doing it in play, and the balance is that we don't want our kid to ever feel like they actually have to be in control, right? Because we are not in control. So, I mean, in control, I hate that word control, but do you know what I mean? Like we want to make sure they don't feel like we're like, oh, I don't, in a reality of like, we're overwhelmed too much or, that we're not being a strong leader. But this doesn't sound like anything like that. This just sounds like you guys were goofing around and playing and she was ordering you around. So I would even maybe lean into it even more so that it's much more obviously like a play thing. Like, what do I do now? Should I put my leg here? Like even just like leaning into it. And there are also games that I don't think I made these up, but I suggest like, have your child pretend they have a remote control that makes you do things, like those are great. So I think I don't see a single problem with it. And I think that if it helps her and you're happy to do it. And I think in fact, sometimes we err too far in the opposite direction to feel like we shouldn't do what our child wants us to do because we're afraid that it'll feel like it feels uncomfortable to us to let them like quote boss us around. But I actually think a lot of times we're just like being flexible and trying to be considerate of what they want.
Yeah, I think it's so new, so I don't know exactly how to react, but I'm just kind of like thinking maybe I'll like try and frame it for her and like we can do this for 10 minutes like after school or something because I'm not going to always be able to do it for like forever, but I do feel like we've noticed, like my husband and I have noticed that we are just doing a lot of like, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't throw that doesn't like go in your mouth. Like it's just fun. It's like constant. And a lot of the times, like we need to keep telling her, don't put that in your mouth and don't do this and that. But at the same time, it's like we're very aware that it must be super.
She's always getting blocked. Yeah, like she's always being blocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. And I think you could try to don't put that in your, that's not for your mouth. You could put this in your mouth if you want to put something in your mouth. Like if you probably do that already, but tell her what she can do after you tell her what she can't do. But I think it sounds great what you're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I would. Thank you.
And you could get like really playful with it of, if she would like it. You could like do the wrong thing and then like say you're broken, like you're a broken robot or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. She's obsessed with Bluey and there's like a episode kind of like that. So maybe she might.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Thank you.
You're okay. Thanks.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see everyone.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed a little peek inside of the membership office hours. It's really such a wonderful community. It's my favorite part of the work that I do. I love the membership. I love being able to talk to you all a couple times a week. So if you'd like to join us, just visit reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/membership. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and hit me up with your questions. You can join for a month and see what you think. There's no commitment past a month. It's a month-to-month membership, and we would love to have you inside the membership. One of my members said it's like having a parenting coach in your back pocket. And I'd like to add, and also a community of people who really get it, who are on this journey of peaceful parenting with you. Again, go to reimaginepeacefulparenting.com/membership to sign up and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. I hope you found this conversation insightful and exactly what you needed in this moment. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Remember that I'm rooting for you. I see you out there showing up for your kids and doing the best you can. Sending hugs over the airwaves today. Hang in there. You've got this.